Hello, Aldo.
Good morning,
So,
Bata.
good morning. So, what you will prepare today for us? What you will show
Well,
us?
we talked about how we've built electric cars together. We've talked about building the electric hemp Rolls-Royce.
Yeah,
In order to make it electric, we have to make batteries. And so, in the meantime, you got us working on a project for a very specific customer to make him a battery that will work in minus 40-degree temperature. It's a, it's a secret project, so we don't know about it, so we cannot tell much about it, except we're building a battery, 30 kilowatt hour battery, that needs to operate in a minus 40 degrees environment. So what we thought we would do, because this would be a similar process that we'll go with when we're building the Rolls-Royce, but when we're building the Rolls-Royce, we'll film the decision making and the battery and what have you.
yeah, you'll do.
But today I'll just get to the process of how do we make a battery.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So, let's show us what you will do.
So we'll start with talking about a cell. So people say batteries, but in fact, technically, battery is when it's built. That's a battery. A battery is made out not of batteries, but of cells. So this is a cell. It's called a cylindrical cell. There are different formats of cells that you can buy in the market. There are cylindrical cells. There are pouch cells like we have used in the cars in the past.
Yeah, for Citroen and for other. Yeah.
And there are the prismatics, which are basically square rectangular boxes. For many reasons, which we can discuss another time, we've decided to go with cylindrical cells. Now, and the main reason is because cylindrical cells are industry standard sizes, and so there are many suppliers supplying them. And there are various sizes, so 18650, which means it's 18-inch diameter, 65 millimeter height. We are using 32700, which is 32 millimeters by 70 millimeters tall, which was the biggest you could find in the industry. Now, Tesla has come up with a 4680, which is 46 by 80. The other thing to know is that there are different chemistries. We use lithium iron phosphate, and that's
Yeah.
iron, as in ferrous iron, not lithium ion, as in lithium ion that is used in other situations. Lithium ion cells are 3.2 volts, lithium iron phosphate are 3.7 volts, but that's not the key difference. The key difference is that lithium ion cells pack more energy in a small space, these pack less energy in the same space.
Okay, everything okay. Yeah.
So, why did we go with lithium iron phosphate? We are not worried about weight in the case of batteries that we normally build. The weight difference is not that significant, but what is significant is that these have lithium iron phosphate has 3 times the life cycles of standard lithium ion. It's also less prone to fire. And so these are much less, so it's 3 times the life and much safer from a fire perspective.
Yes.
So, as we said, this is 3.2 volts, and most applications that we are using, that we need the cells or the batteries for, for example, if you're using them in an environment where you have inverters, traditionally you build battery packs that are 48 volts, like what we do at VoltWall with the X-Blade. In this case, this project requires 60 volts. And so what that means is we have to make a mix of parallel and serial connections to get to 60 volts. It also needs to be 30 kilowatt hours. So if you divide the 30 kilowatt hours by the 60 volt, you will know how many amps we need to get there. It turns out that we need to have something like 1600 cells in order to get the 30 kilowatt hours. Each one of these is roughly 19 watts, and we need 30 kilowatt hours. And so now we need to build it. How do we build it? We do not build it using kitchenware. We're using this because we need to carry the cell after it's built, each pack. And so we put it underneath to give us some rigidity. This is a tray. It's a honeycomb tray. The cells can be set in a honeycomb format like this, or they can be set next to each other. For reasons that are our proprietary design, we prefer to have effectively pack them more closely, which means using less space. So we use this to mount, in this case, it's 7 by 12, 84 cells. We then utilize this nickel strip or strap that is spot weld on top in order to connect all the cells together. How do we spot weld them? We've got a little spot welder here that we use to spot weld the strips on top. We'll show you the progress doing it. We also need insulators. These are the insulators. So when you look at the cell up here, you've got the negative of the cell, which is the body, and the positive of the cell, like what you would have with a standard battery that you use for a kitchen appliance or something. When you put this cell, you ensure, when you put this insulation, you ensure that you protect it against arcing with a screwdriver or something from here to here. So this is an insulation that we put on each and every cell. And in many cases, these cells are enclosed in a plastic sleeve. In our application, we are not using it for specific reasons. Another thing to note is that in order to get the 60 volt, each one of these packs, and the pack is that 84 cells here and this on top, we need to note that all these cells are going to be connected in parallel. So each one of them is going to be the 3-point volt, but each cell is 6 amps. We're going to have 84 cells, so 84 times 6 gives us the amperage of this particular block. Then we have 20 of these. Because it's 3.2, when you connect 20 of them in series, we end up with 60 or thereabouts voltage. Obviously then you have a need for a battery management system, and that battery management system we'll talk about later will help us maintain all the cells charged and discharged at the same level and supplying the required 60 volts. But that's for another time. We're talking about the mechanical way of building a cell. So basically very simple, quite straightforward. We go through this. It's going to take a short while. When we are reviewing it, we could put it in fast motion.
You are already very fast.
Yeah, thank you. So
we will like to present realistic, really in the time, what we do and how it can build battery.
This is how we do it. So it's 84 cells. One by one, you think it's 6 amps, okay, it's 6 amps, not much. When you put 84 of them together, you've got about 500 amps. You've got quite a bit of power. So it then becomes, from this moment on, when we start connecting things together, we start being very, very careful. We only use, for example, screwdrivers and spanners and what have you that are well insulated so that there is no accidental shorting, because 500 amps shorted, whatever screwdriver you're using, you'll break it in two. Your screwdriver becomes a fuse. It's amazing power that you can. So, I think I explained why we use lithium iron phosphate. I saw a lab test on a video, because obviously it is claimed that lithium iron phosphate is more fire safe, less likely that it will catch fire. And so how did I know that? They test it, and I've seen actually a lab test where they have a lithium iron phosphate pouch cell while charging or discharging, and they put a nail through it, and nothing happens. I mean, the cell is obviously destroyed, but there is no fire, and that is key. So here we have the first one. Now we'll put all the insulators on, one after the other. This is going to be an interesting challenge after we put the insulators on, getting the
Plastic over that.
yeah. Yes, it's a job that requires some patience. Not happy with that. Now, obviously, everybody has got their own techniques of building batteries. Some people like these trays that I call trays. Others don't. Some go overkill, some do less. We've built quite a number of batteries over the years. We've been building batteries for the last 9 years, starting with an old Citroën DS, where we built a 20 kilowatt hour pack, 22 kilowatt hour pack. And so we've made a lot of mistakes along the way. We've learned a lot.
But you learn a lot from that process.
Exactly. And you know, there is very little history. We started playing with batteries when the world started moving towards lithium iron phosphate. Obviously, lithium ion cells, which is the most reliable technology, battery technology in the market today, and why do I say that? Is the point that I'm making. They are the only cells that we're using today in various deployments, not just us, but globally, that have a 30-year history. So we know that the reliability and the longevity of these cells, because effectively, not these particular ones, but the 18650, which is what I was talking about before, most of us that have used laptops, maybe many don't realize that inside them, what keeps them going, what we charge when we charge them and discharge them, we're charging and discharging lithium cells, lithium ion cells. There's 5, 6, depending on the laptop. And so, you know, we've got a 30-year history, because that's more or less how long laptops have been around, of using these technology. And so, you know, people might talk about, yeah, but you know, I heard there's this new technology and that new technology, and there's a lot of development, important development of this technology now that the world is moving away from fossil fuels into something sensible called sustainable. And so, you know, there is a lot of development, a lot of lab, lots of investments, billions of dollars worth of investments going into developing lithium and related technologies. But one has to be careful that they don't confuse product that works in a lab to product that has been utilized in the field for the last 30 years. It's a big difference. In fact, for example, the biggest thing that we've been hearing about, specifically Toyota, claims of its investment and its development of solid-state batteries, which means there is no electrolyte. All these lithium-ion and lithium-ion phosphate cells have got a paste inside it, which is the electrolyte. So now the next stage is solid-state batteries, where there is no liquid electrolyte. One escaped. And that is a great new development. It will be very important development. But it's in the lab. You know, Toyota has already missed every year for the last 5 years of claiming that next year they will have the product in the market. Why? Because it's in the lab, and the lab is not the same as commercialized. I thought this was going to be a challenge, getting these plastic things in. Maybe it would be easier if I put them through while I put the... Okay, that's it. So we've got the first pack with all the insulators.
Fantastic.
Now we will get the strap. The good news is that we cannot short anything because it's all insulated, and positive is going to positive and negative is going to negative. And so it's all good. So we'll just set up, we'll come back to this and start spot welding.
So that means that they have guidance there.
Yeah, so we've got little plastic knobs here that help us align this, and it will also give strength to the pack. And so it's a brilliant solution. There are some that don't like these methodologies, and I haven't used them in the past, but with this application, the specific requirement we had, this is ideal. We ordered it specifically for our needs, specifically to our size. This is not a standard size. It's a size that we require. We've got a number of suppliers that can supply us these things. And we're ready to go. So let's set up for the spot welding part.
Okay.